I had the dumbest thing I was thinking about earlier this week. I was sitting here thinking about, I was actually in the bus for some reason. And I was thinking, man, Johnny Depp's a really good actor. What could he possibly do to impress anybody anymore? And I was like, you know what would be putting him out of his comfort zone? Playing a normal person. I don't think he can pull off playing a completely normal, average guy. I'm not even taking, like, we're talking, like, mild, like, family comedy, but not even slapstick. And not even the main character's dad that takes him to soccer.
He just drives the minivan.
And if he can pull it off and not act weird, then he's a good actor.
You know what I was thinking along those lines? Why is Seth Rogen in movies?
Because they don't have enough fat Jewish guys.
That must be it, because...
Seth Rogen, who's that other idiot?
Him and, what is it?
Franco?
James Franco?
James Franco?
Yeah, they make absolutely ridiculous movies nowadays, and they're actually popular because college idiots like them and go see them.
Much like Chance, the bros are all watching their movies. Chance knows what I'm talking about. Let's put the intro in here somewhere and then continue on this riveting discussion.
Hey, you guys!
Alright. Hanging out here with Lindsay, Jason, DG Podcast, episode 91. 91 of all things. I don't know what to think about that. Let's just keep moving. Hanging out and do the podcast. Lindsay, what were you up to this week?
Well, it's the week before spring break, so lots of homework, but actually got some time in to play some games here and there. We actually played Soulstorm earlier this week, which is pretty fun.
It was a long game, too.
It was a really long game. We actually got through to be able to build our ultimate bosses for the map.
Our ultimate units, yeah.
Yeah. And we got to play Pixel Junk Monster, which is a tower defense game. Got a really difficult level beat on there, and actually got towards the final boss level, so to speak.
And Lindsay has a game waiting for her to play.
Little Mermaid. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, you
Laugh
are.
all you want. That's pretty much one of the games that, like, for me as a kid, that actually got me into gaming originally, so I'm really...
Did you already have that, or did you pick it up somewhere?
I didn't pick it up. Chance sent it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I have to say a special thanks to Chance, because I'm pretty excited to play that. Spring break coming up, so gonna be able to actually play the game. It'll be pretty sweet. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All the bubble, fish slapping, good times.
That sounds weird.
It does sound weird. But as you were describing it the other day,
You kick bubbles at fish, you turn them into bubbles, and then you use the fish to throw at things.
As ammo.
As ammo.
PETA would be very much so against this game.
Well, yeah, it has everything that they love. Animal cruelty right there at the top of the list.
We had to smuggle it out of PETA blockades or whatever. At any rate, Jason, how we do?
Well, reading more Gotrek and Felix. Not much more than that, really. Haven't been playing much, been busy, and I did, however, play a little bit of Angry Birds Transformers, which is different than their other Angry Birds stuff, because you actually, like, transform, and instead of, like, flinging the birds at the pigs, they run along and you tap the screen where you want them to shoot, and then they blow things up.
Wow, so
Yeah.
it's just another Angry Birds then.
It is.
I played Angry Birds Star Wars, and I wasn't impressed.
Well, it's one of those mindless things. I can sit there and I can go like this while I'm just trying not to think or do anything.
Yeah. I played Record of Lodoss War some more. I played Sonic today, and I got all the way to the second to last level, and the game froze on me.
That sucks.
And I don't know if it's the game or the console. I'm going to blame it on the console since Chance sent that to me.
Is this the Sonic one that we got, or is it...
No, it's just the Genesis.
Okay, so
I
the
played
original.
it and started playing, yeah. Some Trick Style, which I've never been good at the game, but I'm slowly getting better. That's on the Dreamcast. I finally got a hold of a cheaper copy of Episode 1 Racer for the Dreamcast. Most people don't know, because everybody played it for the Nintendo 64 Pod Racer. Mm-hmm. They actually made a Dreamcast version, and it looks better than the 64 version.
My brothers had a Dreamcast. I wonder if they still do.
That game's harder to find, too.
Well, the thing is, my brothers had 2 games on the Dreamcast. They had Crazy Taxi and Soul Calibur 2, I think is what it was. And so that was my first exposure to Soul Calibur and to the Dreamcast.
Crazy Taxi is a good game.
It is a good game.
We actually used to do where we'd have people come over, and then what we would do is we'd play Crazy Taxi and try to beat each other's scores.
I had many stupid discussions with Chance this week. At one point, we discussed the fact that because Chance is a man whore, and I'm curmudgeonly, and Jason has no feeling, I decided that if we put us all together like in Captain Planet, we'd create one really crappy human being. As opposed to like taking the best qualities of different people and putting them together, we're taking the worst.
Right, we'd have Captain Anti-Planet.
That'd be terrible. Don't do that.
Let's do it.
I just thought about that. It's like, okay, man whore, curmudgeonly, no feelings. That sounds terrible.
No, here's the
sounds
narrative.
like the worst villain because he just doesn't care.
No. Here's the narrative we created where the guy would sleep around, hate everybody, and not feel bad about it. And I was like, that's the perfect combination.
Those people exist.
Yes, they
do. Would be
half of college guys. I'm pretty sure that's what they are.
Except that this one would have superpowers.
Yeah, negative superpowers.
I don't.
What did Chance call it? Captain Crappy, I think.
That's awful.
It is awful. We talked about a few things. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, me and Chance and our inane conversations over Facebook Messenger. Other than that, keep it down. One thing that's really important that me and Lindsay just barely finished watching was Attack on Titan, which Lindsay waited forever to watch. Now that you've watched the train wreck that is Attack on Titan, what is your impression without giving things away?
So, I initially would not watch this anime at all because it got so insanely popular and everybody was really annoying about it that I just didn't want to watch it because...
Almost the same reason I hated Avatar forever.
Yeah, people just get obsessed about something.
Yeah, and then I hated it because it was bad. But.
Yeah. But, so we start watching it and it's like, honestly, I didn't know if I actually liked it the first 10 or 15 episodes. I was just like, it's so messed up, I can't stop watching it. It's exactly as you describe it. It's a train wreck. You can't look away.
Isn't it messed up?
It's messed up. But 25 episodes, it basically leaves you not satisfied at all. You ask a lot of questions.
And then they leave you with a huh at the end?
Yeah, a really big question, I guess. I know they have manga, so maybe I'll read some of those over spring break, but it's just, I don't know, the entire manga, or the anime itself just was extremely messed up, but...
Well, giant naked people, Chance is going to be interested.
Not attractive, though.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Run around and eat people. That's the show.
Like, and it's like horrific death, too. Like, they'll show you...
There's a lot of blood, there's a lot of violence.
Yep.
It's a horrific show. Did you see the whole thing?
No, I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces, and from what I've seen, I don't actually want to
messed up.
continue.
Honestly, what they need to do,
The
and
more
I'm
you
sure it
watch
exists
it.
out there, the biggest problem I had with this is, like, 90% of the show is actually them just reflecting and dealing with the stuff
Oh, come
going
on, Lindsay. You love the 20-minute monologues.
Oh, they're so bad. They honestly, it's like, if you were living in that type of world where people are getting eaten and it's just happening all the time, people would become callous to it, and they would
Isn't
kind
this
of
the
just...
same argument I made?
Yeah.
Remember when we talked about this? I made the exact same stupid argument. People wouldn't freak out every time that this stuff happened.
And these people constantly freak out in the middle of a battle where people are literally dying next to him. They have to sit and have a 20-minute, like, monologue.
What does this mean?
What does this mean? How do I deal with this? Let me think about something that happened in my past. And they do a flashback. Like, it's extremely overdone about
He's
the emotional
eating
part.
people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you had these giant monsters that were constantly eating people,
I'd think
you'd
about
sit
it.
there and you'd go, you'd teach your children, okay, these giant monsters eat people. Deal with it.
Well, it's like in any
And then
war,
move on.
people
Yeah.
get callous, but for some reason in the Attack on Titan universe, everybody freaks out every time someone dies. Like, you've seen war movies, people get shot and they're like, well, just keep going, because you have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Like, people understand that there's certain things that need to be set aside. Attack on Titan, nobody understands.
Honestly, I think there was... The last episode, there was a moment for one person where he kind of was like, basically had a realization of, this is how I used to be, I can't believe that, and he's actually dealing with the situation, and he just moves past his fear and they just deal with it. But 90% of the time, they're freaking out, having these super long reflection moments, and that was honestly the most irritating part. I don't know, I'd like to see, and I'm sure it exists, but them take all the actual fight sequences and just piece it all together.
And leave out the dialogue.
Leave out all the dialogue.
Because it looks really cool. Them
'cause it looks
flying
really
through the
cool.
city is really fun to watch.
I think you would cut it down to maybe 3-4 episodes. And I'm not kidding, it probably would be, and they're 20 minutes, so that's a lot to cut out, but that's what it would be.
Well, it's like that that guy that took the Hobbit movies and cut them all into like 1 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
And apparently
got rid of all that crap that didn't need to be in there.
Apparently it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you have to find out what happens because of the ridiculousness of it. I can't say it's not bad. It's actually very interesting. The animation's really good. It's really violent, but they run into exposition a lot, and the show is just weird. And this specifically defines the word that I invented, Japanesey. It's a normal, interesting show, and then it just goes Japanesey, and it just goes weird, and that's what everybody that's ever seen anime knows that moment when it just kind of goes odd. In the Japanese way.
For instance, in Advent Children, there's a moment of all this fighting and this really cool stuff going on. All of a sudden, they're in the church and there's a drop of water that hits, like, this pond. And it's got this weird music intro that goes out. And it has, like, this weird, like, floating thing. And it's kind of like, basically, all of a sudden, somebody took some drugs or something. And manipulated whatever they were going to go for the actual storyline and turned it into something entirely different.
I watched, what is it? Dead Man Playground, or what's it called? Anyway, it's such a weird, it's a Japanesey show, it's odd. People's powers come from their blood and they use it. So it's like, they use their blood to create things or use it as like a weapon or shoot it at each other. Or one guy turns it into like blades and he can stab people with like these blood blades or whatever. And it's so, well, it's excessively gory because
it's all blood.
There's blood everywhere. It's just constantly red. Odd show, another Japanesey show. I watched the entire first season. I think I watched like half of it all in one night. And then after,
disturbing.
Yeah, it's just Japan, man. The show's not terrible. It's interesting, but it's got the same tropes that Japanese anime has, that most Japanese shows have.
Right.
Where it's the secret superpower that the main character always has is to get angry enough. Then they win. And this has been going on since Dragon Ball, and it carries on forever and ever. Attack on Titan's the same thing. Well, the secret superpower that the main character has is just get pissed off enough and he levels up or something. And then he just
rage
wins.
Fuels his power.
I guarantee you, somehow Japan thinks that just getting really angry fixes it.
You have? Do you still have Gurren Lagann that I let you borrow? That's the same thing. Simon
every single flippin' anime show
gets mad.
Not every single one.
If they're combat heavy, Naruto
does. I've been watching one. Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online is awesome.
It's really good. And
I've been
honestly,
hesitant to watch it.
I really, really, really like it. The only thing that I had that I would have done differently is I thought the second part of it, where they do a second online world that they go to, I felt you could have done away with that completely.
They actually have another season.
That's what I've understood, and I haven't seen the second. See, I haven't seen the other season, but I looked up some images this week, and it's like the main character, he goes from being a guy and looks like a girl now.
I'd have to look.
Is that true?
No, I don't think so.
Well, it was really strange, but the anime was really good, and I enjoyed it.
The show is beautiful, and I really enjoyed the first... you're right, what they do is, it's a fantasy world, they all get trapped in there, and if you die in the fantasy world, you die in real life.
Yeah, it's
the creator trapped everyone.
I've heard that 1,000 times on different shows.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
you ever see that stupid show Gamer? If you die in the game, you die for real.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the tech,
it's in
the
a
tech
virtual,
basically wipes their brain.
Yeah, they're in a virtual reality game where they're actually their minds get inputted to the game, so it's like a real life type of situation, but their bodies are just laying there, so to speak. But if they die in the game, the guy has a way to actually using the gear that they're hooked up to just you said, kill them. And so you don't, he makes
can't take off the helmet because it'll kill you too.
And he makes it so that everyone who initially joins the game, the first day or something, he locks them in and they can't log out or anything. And they're pretty much stuck in there and have to play by his rules and they have to beat the game, so to speak.
Yeah,
and they can't die.
I've seen a couple shows that are very similar.
Well, the thing is that the main character, that's the first arc that they're really interested in. The main character... He wins through, everybody gets released except for 300 people, and that's where the second part starts.
Yeah, but I like in that when he gets driven, his force isn't anger driven or anything, it's by the fact that he's trying to protect people because he's seen people die.
Yeah, but it's the same.
But
people get angry and they level up.
He does get angry and
it's
things,
more like he's I gotta be better, I gotta be faster,
it's less of rage. It's more of a cold anger at that point.
It's more
but it's the same
it's still
thing.
Anger. Yes.
He still stretches himself
because Japan loves the idea of you just get angry. You'll be strong enough. Don't worry. Just get angry though.
Yeah,
get angry.
But yeah, they actually in the second arc, it's a different kind of fantasy world. Still fantasy, but what they do is you go in as a mythical character. So there's elves and Spriggan and I forget.
There's fairies and then there's cat-like creatures because you always have to put a cat girl.
There always
creature.
has to be a cat girl.
Well,
in
if
anime.
it's from Japan,
yeah.
And then the idea in that one is that you have the power of flight, but you can there's a ceiling on your flight. You can't go above a certain height, and you can only fly for so far before you have to rest. Well, the object is if you get all the way to the top of the tower and you beat the game, then whichever race was the one that beat the game, they get the power of flight for their race, and it has no ceiling.
It has no
limitation
on limit.
It's not very long.
How long?
I don't remember.
I think it was something they could fly for a couple minutes, and then it's they're landed for
because you could literally beat it in 20 seconds.
Well,
the thing is
they're limited on the flight enough.
The guy that programmed it such that you couldn't beat it.
No. You could literally beat it in 20 seconds as long as you were super committed, because all you would is have certain people resting on the backs of the other people who are
They
flying.
actually tried that, and that was actually what kind of
like that would be the immediately first thing I do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just
Well, that's the thing.
just
They
hop
tried
on.
that.
Nobody
They
wanted
quite literally tried that,
to
but they-
cooperate because the way that it was set up was whichever race won the game, they got flight for themselves and no one else. And so none of the races wanted to cooperate until Kirito came in and he was like, "You've got to cooperate. That's the only way we're going to win this thing."
Anyway.
And then they have another one and it's about guns. I haven't seen it yet. I don't like to watch subtitled videos because I like to do other things while I'm watching.
That's what I do.
And so if you have the subtitles, you have to...
How do you think
You
I
have to be
managed to
committed
get
to
through
it.
so much Star Trek? I don't watch, really.
I
I
know.
sit at the computer and I do something, or I'll play a game or something, and I listen to most of the episodes.
Right.
So if something's happening, I'll turn and watch it. I got through a lot of Star Trek Voyager that way, a lot of Next Generation. That's the only way I've been able to watch most of that, because they get boring at points.
I
I've
don't
fallen asleep
mind-
on more than one occasion watching Star Trek.
I don't mind subtitles, but most of the time, when I would be watching is when I'm like running on the treadmill or something, and it's really hard to read
To watch... Yeah.
and be running.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why I haven't seen the new Sword Art Online yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'd like to. It just wasn't available on Netflix.
It's on there. I've heard a few Japanese shows. They like the idea of being sort of trapped in a world before. Remember that movie that they came out with a little while back that we were going to watch that they were airing on Adult
Summer
Swim?
Wars.
Summer Wars, same
Very good one.
concept.
Mhm.
It's actually very good. Where they're sort of like trying to control this inside world, but instead it's like this guy actually takes control, and they're trying to take it back because he can manipulate everything that's going on. He could control the computer systems. He could turn off everything, and he's basically
he steals your avatar, and that means that he steals your login credentials.
Right, and it makes him more powerful.
Yeah.
So everybody bands together. All of these kids are playing the online game to stop him because he's controlling like a missile that's going to destroy Tokyo. Because he takes everybody's information, because somehow everybody's logged in through this thing.
Right.
He wrecks the entire like emergency systems.
Well, yeah, he basically shuts down Tokyo.
Yeah, he ruins everybody's
Japan and the rest of the world too.
He ruins everybody's bank accounts and that sort of thing.
Kills their grandmother.
Yeah, kills their grandmother.
It's kind of weird how that happens, but he doesn't directly kill her.
But he does.
But
like he pulls a plug or something?
Kind of,
yeah.
Oh gosh.
And it's this weird sort of computer program that just takes over. And then, so everybody actually has this, and it goes really gamery
Yeah.
at one point, because everybody unites to try and stop the guy, and they all sort of lend their power, quote unquote,
power,
or at least their status and all their money or whatever, their in-game currency and stuff.
Well, it was their avatars, because he was collecting them. And
Yeah. So they add it all to one person, and they play a card game. and it's like they're playing. It's like they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh in the game, and it's really stupid. They're like, I play this card, and it's like all this like graphics and stuff. It's like, he just played a card, dude. Just he played the card. You don't have to have all the extra bits to go on with it, because it's like playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, if we understood the card game a little bit better, we might be figuring out what was going on. But
Japan's got this weird history with card games. They love them, but well, like you recall, they actually banned card games.
I didn't know that.
During the Shogunate, they banned card games because it was considered too Western.
Oh, really?
Because it became really popular to play things like poker and what have you. So they banned it for a long time, and over the years, card games would sort of spring up, new games that people would invent, and then they would crush them, and then they would spring up again, because it was considered anti-national. And the first card game company to actually create a game that existed and stuck, that they created as solely sort of a Japanese game, because Japan didn't really have card games like the West did. The first company to really actually make something that stuck, that was actually allowed and sanctioned by the government who allowed it to happen, was who?
Couldn't tell you.
Nintendo.
Oh, that's right. They started out as a card game company. I remember that now.
And they were allowed to do it because the government said it was okay, and they made it somewhat national. And part of the reason why they got away with it is they didn't have numbers.
Right.
It was all like pictures and stuff like that. They represented different things.
Right.
But card games were originally a Western thing, which is why now they seem to be oddly obsessed with cards, mainly because it was banned for so long in their history. probably like a couple hundred years, to be fair.
Right.
But yeah, history, you guys. Pay attention.
I remember that now, yeah. It's weird to think that
Nintendo
started out as a card game company.
One of the first card games actually allowed to be printed by the government. Card games existed before, but they were sort of underground and that sort of thing.
Black market card games.
Yeah. And they had to create a very Japanese-themed sort of game. It's an interesting game. I've read some on it, but yeah, Nintendo, that's their first product that they created.
I actually looked up the card game that they use in Summer Wars to try to get a better handle on it, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd probably have to sit down with somebody who actually knew how to play it.
But I think it's a Japanese-themed card game.
Yeah,
I think it's something like based in what they use.
Koi? Something about koi?
I think I've heard of it. Well, I'm just saying it wasn't invented for the show. It's actually a game.
Yeah.
We have an email from Chance, which we'll go over, and lots of junk to talk about.
An epic email from Chance.
Well, Chance, of course, was going to respond to our super net neutrality discussion, which Lindsay hasn't listened to. So she's going to enjoy this part.
I was listening to some of it. I just fell asleep.
You used it as a tool to fall asleep.
First of all,
it was not a tool to fall asleep. I just happened to fall asleep while listening to it.
It just helped you. It helped you out. Let's jingle and get right into this.
And now it's time for the Distracted Gamers podcast listener emails, where Dr. Jason will paraphrase, eviscerate, and with surgical precision, remove all salient points from your feedback, leaving you sounding like a barely literate baboon.
First of all, he starts out by calling us his crackers. It's kind of funny. I had a friend that used to call me Cracker, and I told him, I said, "You're as white as I am." And he says, "Yeah, that's why I can call you a Cracker." Like,
Chance pointed out this. It was such a stupid. He posts some really stupid stuff on Facebook sometimes, and he posted this Facebook post of apparently they were making this robot, this artificial robot. Well, clearly it's artificial. But they were making it in a newer color, like white. And he said, "Hey guys, now we can be all racist about this." Because it showed like the white hand of the robot, and underneath I wrote, "That robot has been living in privilege."
Nice.
And you know what my favorite part was? One of Chance's black friends laughed after my comment.
So anyway, he had that conference that he talked about. It was like a conference call. He said their CEO, or the CEO of the company, he works for Dillard's, and it was actually, I guess, a family-owned company kind of thing.
Right.
So one of the Dillards is their CEO.
Mr. Dillard?
Yeah, Mr. Dillard actually called up and was on the phone and talking to them. So they had that ice storm roll through, and he said that he was going to go home, but his wife is freaked out by the ice storm. And so she made him get a motel room for them. Well, he tried to by the hospital because she's a night nurse. She tried to get a room there, but he said that everything within 5 miles of the hospital was booked. So he stayed at a Motel 6, where he says they have pillows that are terrible, like velvet bricks.
Yeah, the whole night he was stranded there because his wife didn't want to drive home, so he drove up to stay at the Motel 6 overnight with her so that he could drive her home the next day because she didn't want to drive in the ice.
It's hard to drive on ice.
It's apparently, that, and I guarantee you where they live, they're not used to...
They're not used to it. They don't get it
It's like Texas, it snows a little bit, and everybody's flying off of the road because nobody understands how to drive in it. And it's the same concept, especially... Because I asked him, I was like, does it snow frequently where you're at? He's like, not that often.
Well, I was in Kentucky for a little while, and, out here we have to get like 3 feet of snow before they'll cancel school.
Right.
There in Kentucky, it snowed about 6 inches, which was more than they usually got. It blacked out half the state. All the schools were closed, and they said that if they get like an inch of snow, school is closed. Yeah. That's usual for them. So, anyway.
But apparently they live like 20 miles away from the hospital that she works at. the reason why I knew all of this is because Chance is at the hotel and bored out of his mind and sending me messages, on Facebook.
Because he
bought a T-shirt. Yeah. He bought a T-shirt that he proudly posted that he got for $5, and it was a Superman T-shirt.
Superman long sleeve T-shirt and hat combo for $5.
I didn't know he got the hat with it.
Yeah. So he gets into the, as we said, we've been talking about net neutrality recently. He gets into that, and he's like, he would like it to be more free market. And he says,
I'd love to.
Not free market like the 1%ers who are like, we have the money, therefore the market should be free for us to.
But that's not a free market, and I've argued this with Chance 1,000 times
He's saying that he doesn't want that. He's saying that that's not the free market he wants. Those are the 1%ers. They don't know what's going on.
I know, but whenever people bring up free market, they go, those big corporations. I was like, that's not a free market. Monopolies are not a free market.
No, they're not.
It's an oligarchical sort of control where the top control everything and have all the power, and that's not what it is. And I don't know how many times I need to argue this with people.
Well, he says, when I say free market, of course, I don't mean the way the 1% of corporate America defines it.
Okay. Anyway.
So he says that he wants it to be more open, so they don't have the region locking like we.
I'd love to,
talked about.
And the region locking is what screws over most of this and makes it a lot more restrictive. But anyway.
Well, anyway, what he was saying was when he moved into his new house, he called up AT&T and Comcast to get internet service, and they said, "Well, we can't do that. That you're out of our area."
Yeah.
And the area he was in belonged to someone else. And so...
the same thing, I'm not going to get political with this, but the same thing occurred with the healthcare system where you didn't have different healthcare companies competing with one another. Like, I couldn't... If I lived in a certain part of the country, I couldn't get Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
I have to live there to get it.
Right.
So they wouldn't compete with each other price-wise.
But that's what we want them to do.
Each insurance companies were sanctioned with these certain areas, and that is what causes problems because then people get kickbacks and people are allowed to control certain areas, and none of that has anything to do with the free market.
See, the thing is that we have this monstrous healthcare bill, and a lot of it would be cleared up by eliminating.
Oh yeah, you eliminate that, and prices would start to drop, and it wouldn't be an issue.
No,
but no, we have to somehow control it in some way because you got to get your hands in it, like net neutrality.
Exactly, and that he actually goes into that with the government. He's like, the hell of it is that government getting involved in the matter is only going to lead to the same outcome: same ship, different captain.
Well, it's the same thing, and I like to equate this somewhat, which I didn't do in the net neutrality argument with the Patriot Act.
Uh-huh.
We needed more protection. We were dealing with terrorism in a terrible way. We weren't fighting them. We weren't understanding the fact that this is an issue that we have to deal with.
Right.
I understand that. I didn't have a problem with the initiality of how they were going about and the start of the Patriot Act. But a naive individual like me at the time thought that, well, that's where it was going to stay. But you give them an inch and they take a mile, and then all of a sudden they're tapping into everybody's phones, and it has nothing to do with terrorism, and they're hacking into computers before they even sell them onto the market. And it gets way out of control, and then you have this travesty and assault on civil liberties. Do we really want to repeat the same mistake?
Right. Exactly, and that,
You look like you have a lot to add, Lindsay.
No, I'm just listening. I'm listening. I'm getting tired, is all.
Oh, see?
We're putting her to sleep already.
This discussion is what...
No, it's been a rough week for me for sleeping, but I mean,
You're
I
here
agree
with
with you, so I have nothing to comment.
All right.
So he says that this is going to get your hackles up because he says that, we both believe that if you use more, you should pay more.
Yeah.
And he says that he would counter that instead of bilking the consumer base for more money, they should instead invest in a more robust backbone to handle the added traffic. You don't solve traffic problems by adding more toll booths. You solve it by adding new lanes or widening
I
the existing
100%
ones.
agree, but you can't force the ISPs to actually create wider lanes in our theoretical highway.
Right.
That's what they should do to relieve traffic, but they're not gonna.
Well,
they're going to charge us more, and they're going to charge other people more.
There's no incentive to do it.
No. Why would they?
Well, the thing is, I mean, sorry, I'll just relate this. It's side note. But it's like, for instance, with his wife, I guess, works as a nurse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
That's a terrible system there. They will constantly do they'll be short staffed just so that they can get more money made for the hospital. And they'll be short staffed all the time. It's the same concept.
Yep.
Why would you hire more people or put more people on and build new systems if you can just make more money off of people and they can deal with the issues?
And I guarantee you it's more economical if you're maxing out what you have already as opposed to creating more capacity and then having that not even remotely maxed out.
Right.
Because then it is not as economical a way to approach it. And I guarantee you they will not expand the capabilities until it gets to the point where it becomes a problem.
Right. Well, the thing is that how are they going to get the money to expand their capabilities?
They're going to charge the
They
consumers
have to
more.
charge somebody.
Of course they are.
They're not going to take it out of their own pockets to try and make a better, so to speak, thing for them. They want to charge the people that are already paying money so that they're still making just the same amount of money.
Yeah,
And
or if not more.
If not more, yeah.
I absolutely agree, Chance. That's exactly what they should do, but they're not gonna do
Right.
it. And can I just say, we sort of alluded to this on the podcast. This country, as far as our broadband is concerned, our bandwidth is terrible.
Terrible.
You go anywhere else in the world, and they actually have faster internet than we do.
Yep.
Why? Because we suck at this, and we do not encourage people to compete.
To innovate, yeah. So anyway, he talks about the Telecommunications Act of '96, and the thing about that is it made it possible for some of the big media companies to start going in and buying up radio stations all over the place.
Yeah.
It didn't it removed the limit that
Right.
you could have. And so you had, there's, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Clear something is the name of the company that basically owns all of the radio stations in Utah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I forget what it is.
Yeah.
But
I know
yeah.
what you're talking about. I've heard of them before.
Yeah, they Clear something, and they say it on all the stations that they own. Here we actually have a couple of stations that are like, we are proud to be locally owned and operated. And they
Yeah,
say
but
that
usually
and
it's like the college station, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
It's some idiot that thinks he's going to get into radio or something, and he plays like just the worst stuff on there.
Well, there's like Simmons Media that does like X96. That's not Clear. That's local.
Clear Channel.
Clear Channel, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, X96 is
I don't know. I don't listen to them.
But yeah, he's like, talks about the excessive government control, and the thing is that we know where excessive government control leads.
I mean, it comes down to the you should always be worried about where money and power are concentrated.
Yeah.
Number one will always be the government. I will always fear the government more than I fear large corporations.
Because
I will
the large
always fear
corporations can't put you in jail.
Yeah, which is a perfect point. I will always fear large corporations, or trust them at least less than I do smaller corporations.
Right. They have less...
Because they have more power and more ability to wield it, and you should always be worried about those who have more power and more money.
Yep, exactly.
And who has caused that problem? It's always the government. It's always how they allow things to get set up so that people get out of control.
It's like these corporations want to be the government because they're looking at the government and saying, boy, they have all the power and money that I want. Anyway, so he says that with his new provider, he's paying a little bit extra. He's paying $30 a month, $30 more because he's got a business account, but they've removed his data cap. Evidently, AT&T, when he first went with them, they had no data cap, and then they stuck it on later.
Yeah,
so
the age of data, the age of free unlimited data is
well,
gone.
It's so
for now.
funny to me when they say that they have an unlimited plan, but there's still a data cap, and you're like, how is that unlimited?
They used to be
unlimited means no limit.
They used to be unlimited. They started adding them in the last 5 years.
I know,
If
but
you had
then
unlimited though, like it would basically say you get this much data at this speed, and then we start slowing you down.
Yeah,
it's unlimited
they
until
do.
you hit
They
here,
do.
which is false advertising in my opinion, and it's no longer unlimited. It should be called their limited plan.
They could still throttle us down. That doesn't change anything.
Yeah. So, let's see. Sega. Oh, he mentions a couple things. We might go through it in the news dump.
This is a depressing.
But he talks about Sega bowing out of consoles. They're no longer going to make.
They
consoles.
backed out of making anything for consoles anymore, which is depressing because I love Sega.
Yeah.
Two things that they're still doing is making PC games and mobile games. Now, however, this isn't 100% true because Team Sonic is still going to be making Sonic games, which is still a part of Sega.
Right.
But Sega itself will not be trying to make any console games, which is depressing for some people because they control a lot of IPs that people have been crossing their fingers hoping that they'll see down the road, which we haven't seen at all. Will we see another Shinobi eventually? Probably not.
I wonder if this might leave it open to other parties to contract.
But Sega has to sell it to them.
Oh, I know. But it's like, let's say I have a video game company. I want to make a Shinobi game. If they're not going to make a Shinobi game for the console market, maybe I can approach them about buying the rights to do a Shinobi game for the console market.
Maybe.
They might be open to it.
Sega has a long history of making really bad corporate decisions.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's the Sega CD, the 32X, the Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast, and everything down the road.
Yeah.
They've just been hemorrhaging money for a while. You ever hear one of the most depressing stories that came out of Sega?
Mm-mm.
One of their
maybe.
founders, when the Dreamcast was going south, really nice guy, one of the original guys to help put the company together, was really worried about the Dreamcast, and to try and prevent it from going into bankruptcy, sold all his shares and took all those millions to keep the Dreamcast afloat. He died in a car crash a week later.
Ooh.
And the Dreamcast never survived. So his legacy died after he died.
Well, let's see. Phil Harrison resigned at Microsoft.
Which is, it's surprising. He'd been there for a while, but me and Chance discussed this before. It feels like the old guard that created all of the Microsoft problems are kind of gone now.
It's kind of funny what he says here. He's like, he flamed out at Sony, now he quit the big M. Maybe he should go to Nintendo next.
You know what's weird about that? He was part of Sony during the lull and the sort of losing that the PS3 did with Xbox 360. And then he went over to Microsoft. And Microsoft lost as well.
Well, he does mention that. He says he was wondering if it was the fact that Sony sold 20 million PS4 units to the 10 million Xbones. But he says
that's a big story.
He should see about getting on with Nintendo so that he can become the first exec in gaming history to crap out with all three majors. Maybe he'll succeed at Nintendo.
Watch, he'll pull a mulligan, move over to Sega, and they'll explode. They're like, well, maybe he was in the wrong market. He needed to be doing mobile or something.
Yeah. So he calls you the Dark Lord because evidently Project Morpheus has a 2016 release date.
Yeah.
And that you're not abuzz with the excitement over the headsets and 3D VR gaming.
No, I don't care.
The thing is that I don't either. It's
like the Kinect looked really cool, and if it worked perfectly, it would have been fantastic. But
awesome.
they couldn't pull it off, and it's still just a gimmick. What was the last thing that everybody banked on? Huge corporations banked on trying to be super successful, and everybody thought it was going to work. 3D television.
Oh, right.
And they had stocks of 3D television sitting around that nobody was buying, and they started to make 3D video games that everybody thought was going to work, and nobody cared.
Nobody cares.
Why? Because there's a portion of the population that can't play it for too long because they get headaches. I'm one of them.
I'm one of them. I tried watching something in 3D or playing something. I can't do it.
One movie is good. After one movie,
well, the thing is that
any longer I start to get a little like
I don't want
blurry-eyed.
I don't want to have to fiddle with glasses to watch the movie. I mean, I already have glasses, and I don't want to watch.
But they were
glasses.
And second of all, whenever you're going and paying big bucks to see one of these super nice 3D movies in the theater or whatnot, you only notice it's 3D maybe 5-10 minutes.
and
then it's gone. And then you're like, great, I spent double, if not triple, for this movie ticket, and then I now no longer even recognize that it's in 3D. Which is why I will not go to a 3D movie. I think it's a complete waste of money.
D-Box, remember the D-Box?
It was fun.
It was like riding a roller. It was like riding a ride at Disneyland, but it's so gimmicky.
I would watch Jurassic Park in D-Box and maybe a couple others, but that'd be it.
Have you ridden one yet? It's like riding a ride. Have you been to Star Tours at all?
Yeah.
Where you sit in the thing, and it's exactly the same. I kid you not. We watched the first Hobbit movie because Jason got tickets the exact same price as normal tickets for D-Box. And he's
Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, we wouldn't have gotten it. So he went and got it, and we're like, oh, we'll go see it. You sit in the chair, and it's like it does that big thing where it zooms over the map, and then it moves like you're flying.
Chairs, yeah.
And you're like, this is weird. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing.
Put your hands out. Whee!
They run into that moment with the
only have the rumble packs in the chairs.
Yeah, the stone giants, and stuff goes, and he goes, and you're like, what's going on? This is really distracting. One thing we found, like a sword would swing or something, and the chair activated the second before the sword would hit, so you could kind of predict that something was happening. It was like a portion of a second, but so I was like, oh, well, something's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can feel that when you're holding
it starts to get
a controller. It starts to warm up.
It rumbles your butt and it moves. It's like you're on a ride. It's weird. It's almost worth doing just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, just to say you did it once.
I wonder how it would work on, let's say, like a romantic comedy.
That's what I wondered. I was like, wait, it wouldn't work.
They put a helicopter ride in it just so that they could do it. Some aerial shots.
Stuff isn't going right. It just sort of like slumps to one side. You're like, it's hard to watch from here.
Oh, okay. So they have a new Jurassic Park movie coming out. I will see in the D-Box.
You're gonna try?
Yeah, and Chris Pratt with his Velociraptor gang.
Army. Yeah, his gang of Velociraptors.
He's a Velociraptor whisperer.
It's so weird. He's like, hey, we could do this, you guys. Was it me and you that speculated that it was probably the Velociraptors were smart enough to go, they made this really, intelligent super dinosaur. Maybe we should band together and get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's like they gang together and they're like, let's just get along with the humans for the moment.
We can always eat them later.
Well, it's like, what's the smartest thing you can do as a park? Make a mutated combo monster that's super intelligent and giant and ferocious. Yeah, that's the smartest thing you can do. Remember all of the accidents you had in the past.
With the first park?
How about an extreme herbivore? Oh my gosh, look at him eat the trees!
Oh, everybody run! He's destroying the trees! It's like, they could have done this smarter. It's like, Jason, I have this idea.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna make this super awesome aquarium. It's gonna be great. Nobody's seen this stuff before. It'll be awesome, alright?
Uh-huh.
Maybe, now hear me out, we're gonna cross a great white with a blue whale.
Okay.
And it's gonna be awesome. Kids will love it. They'll be scared out of their minds. We'll put it in we don't have a lot of space. We'll put it in this big pool, but it's only just big enough for the pool, and it'll probably be really ornery. This will be a great idea. It'll bring us in money. It's not going to go south, especially the fact that we're on a floating island in the middle of the ocean and nobody can leave.
Can we give it legs, too?
Yes, we can! This sounds like a great idea.
Sounds awesome. Let's run it past the board.
And everybody approves it. And then all of a sudden our giant floating city a la Waterworld sinks to the bottom of the ocean. We couldn't have predicted that the thing got out. Maybe we'll give it human intelligence as well.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll just put Einstein's brain in our giant white shark blue whale thing with legs.
I just thought of the SpongeBob with the bearfish, the bear shark. I don't know why, but that was like the cross reference I got is give it legs and have to be ferocious. Bear shark.
Bear shark. When bears and sharks start working together, we are screwed.
Well, that's it for his email. Basically, he says he's going to go to bed and he's peace out and hashtag kill Aunt May.
Kill her. Just let her die. I can't believe we're still having this argument. Why does this podcast not influence Marvel?
Probably because nobody at Marvel knows we exist.
Nobody knows we
start-
exist except for Chance.
We need to start emailing
Lindsay
Marvel.
doesn't even either.
She's
thinks
on
we're just
the podcast.
No, she thinks we're just talking. And Chance is the mic.
I'm completely oblivious to everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chance is the mic.
Yeah, we call it Chance. That's his name.
Hi, Chance.
He doesn't talk back, Lindsay. What, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right, end of email. News dump, Lindsay's favorite segment.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
Okay, Lindsay, I know you love that jingle.
Yeah, especially the weird sound effects at the end. It's just so fantastic.
Oh, you love it. First story to go over is the new Spider-Man movies will not do a rehash of a origin story.
Well, it doesn't need to.
It's
anymore.
already assumed that Spider-Man exists and he's just going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Hey guys, I'm Spider-Man."
Well, they've done origin stories twice for Spider-Man now. People are pretty, I think, familiar with Peter Parker gets bit by a spider.
You know, at this point, it's irrelevant.
So,
it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got
We
a
don't need
few
to do it
superheroes that are the most recognizable. You've got the Superman, you got
Uh-huh.
Batman, you got Spider-Man.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. He's that. Look, it's Spider-Man.
Well,
Yeah.
the last movie that they did, with what's his name? I forget that actor.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Gwen and everything, and she dies, of course. But that was just done really poorly. I mean, they had wonderful actors that they could have done a lot with, but it was just done terribly, and honestly, it's like, you throw out one of those movies.
They threw it out.
Yeah, you throw one of those movies in there that are just that bad, people will be like, I don't have much confidence in seeing another Spider-Man movie at that point.
You know what's the worst part? Andrew Garfield actually said that he didn't like making them.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, well, if he doesn't like it, then get rid of the bum. And apparently he was this big Spider-Man fan, and he claimed to be this really huge Spider-Man fan.
He was. When I went to I was at the San Diego Comic-Con thing when they first, the movie was first coming out, I guess, the first one, and he talked about being a huge fan and everything.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out or something.
So the fact that he's a huge fan makes me wonder why he tried to pitch to the studio that Mary Jane become a man instead, and then Spider-Man have a gay relationship.
What?
He seriously pitched that, and he specifically quoted an actor that he wanted to play the role. Because he's like, I think it's time we should have a bisexual Spider-Man.
Is he gay?
Him? No.
Are we sure?
No, I don't know.
That's so
Because that sounds
weird.
to me like he's pushing a gay agenda, and he's...
That sounds like he's a big Spider-Man fan, I can tell you what.
I didn't know that, but that sounds terrible.
Well, it's like, you ever see those interviews that Megan Fox did when talking about the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
Where she
Raphael,
said-
the leader of the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, she's like, I've been a huge fan since I've been a child. I've been really wanted to be a part of this. You know, and I'm working with Raphael, the leader of the Ninja Turtles. Everyone's like, really? You're a huge fan, are you now? You've been watching since you were a child? I don't think so. Are you, Megan Fox? Are you? Idiot. Sony selling over 20 million PlayStation 4s is ridiculously huge, which Chance alluded to.
Yep.
The last numbers I think we had from Microsoft is 10.
Well, no, 18 for the PS4.
Sony, Microsoft for the Xbox One
Right.
is 10, and I think that was like January, February.
Mm-hmm.
Sony is destroying Microsoft. And it started out where Microsoft was $100 more. The Xbox One was $100 more than a PS4. And now it's $50 cheaper, and they still can't make it up.
Well, it's a crappier system.
That's the thing, though. It's, quality-wise, is probably just as decent. They have a lot of good games, just like the PS4. PS4 is a little bit better technical-wise. But they blew it, and the narrative that they sold was just garbage. They blew it. They blew it from the beginning, and nobody trusts them anymore. And they banked on the fact, like Sony did with the PS2, that, well, we're the big guys, people are going to buy it anyway.
Right.
We could do anything we want. We can give you a Kinect that you don't want.
Force you to have a Kinect that you don't want.
And you're going to buy it anyway, because screw you, you want to play Halo. That's what they said, and everyone gave them the middle finger and walked out.
Which they should have learned from the first time they did it with the PS2.
Oh, you like your games? Do you want to be able to play them at your friend's house? Well, no. No, you can't. Because this is Microsoft, and you're going to buy it anyway. And everyone's like, no, I don't think we will. I'm pretty sure we don't care anymore, Microsoft.
I love the PlayStation's response to it was they posted a video on like how to share games. They literally had just like two guys, and they're like, "How you share games?" And they just pass the game over to you. Here you go.
It was the head of Sony in Japan and the head of Sony in America, and the head of Sony in Japan is Shigeru something, Iwata, and he was with the other guy, and he was like, "This is how you." Let your friends play your games. He just turns and gives it to them. He's like, "Here you go," and then that was it. It's like you watch the press conference, and it's hilarious because they get up there and they go, and they post it like a feature. They're like, "We will not have always online DRM," and everybody freaks out. Ah! And it's like and then they go, "You will be able to play your game offline, single player, whenever you want to. Ah! You'll be able to let your friends borrow your game, and you won't have to check in or anything. And if you own it, you can do whatever you want with it. You can give it to somebody. You can sell it. You can keep it for life. We don't care." And everyone's freaking out. And I'm like, if they'd have said that at any previous conference, people would have been like, "Of course."
Right.
It's like, it's like, why do you have to come out and actually tell us that you're not going to do this? Of course you're not going to do it. That's stupid. But the fact that Microsoft basically handed them the perfect lead.
Oh, yeah, they
and
did.
The perfect PR campaign, because all they needed to go out there is stand out there and say, "We're just not going to do what they're doing."
Yeah.
We're not going to make you do what they're making you do.
But that's like such a clear-cut decision. If you were seriously even considering, what system am I going to buy? They come out with that crap, you're like, no way am I getting the Xbox One. I'm easily getting PlayStation 4 because I don't want to have to deal with that crap.
Well, it's just funny that they actually had to come out and say that. It's like, why would you? It's like everybody would have been confused at that message if it wasn't for what Microsoft was doing. It's like, do you really have to come out and say, yeah, you can play your games offline? Of course you're going to play your games offline. Microsoft just handed them this whole PR campaign. Chance posted this goofy thing that this lady comic had done, which reminds me of.
Okay.
Where she was sitting there and she was talking about how you'll see different products on the shelf, and it's like, yeah, this one product has less fat. It's like they have to post it because then, the product next to it, you go, that must have fat because it doesn't say it has no fat. You know what I mean? It's like, this product says no nails, so that one clearly has nails in it. So maybe I'm going to go for the no nails. But of course the one with nails is cheaper. And she's like, I could be sitting there, and then this other girl, maybe this guy's approaching the two of us, and I'm sitting next to another girl who's more attractive, but I'm wearing a t-shirt that says no chlamydia. He's
so
like, obviously the other one has it. She's like, it works perfectly. And it's almost sort of like what Sony and Microsoft situation did. It's like, hey, we don't make you do this, so clearly the other guy does.
Well, clearly the other guy does because he was telling them.
It was stupid. It was stupid across the board. Incidentally, EA shut down Maxis. Maxis, anybody know? Creators of SimCity. The Sims. Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Women gamers everywhere are probably crying.
They will probably still be coming out with them, but Maxis were the ones that made those games originally. It was just depressing because Maxis were the ones that made the original SimCity games that I loved. And Maxis is gone now. And Sega is gone now. Well, they just don't make console games. Comcast is still blocking HBO Go on PlayStation, as well as a bunch of other things. apparently there's this negotiation going on, and they're like, yeah, we're going to block you until you give us money or something. Anyway, if you have PlayStation Go or you're paying for it, you cannot watch it over your PlayStation. There's a really depressing story. I don't think I want to talk about it. Should I talk about this depressing story?
I don't know.
Which one is it?
I'm not going to give any names. It's this young Asian kid, I believe it's in Southeast Asia. And his dad came into his room, and they were arguing a lot. Because the kid was playing video games really late at night. And his dad came in, and he said, you need to stop playing. And this argument ensued, and it got really heated. And eventually his dad left, and he's like, look, just turn it off or whatever, and he left. The kid turned it off, everybody went to bed. And the dad woke up the next day, and the kid was gone. And he looked around, he couldn't find him, and he went out into the garage, and his motorcycle was there and everything, but the gas cans were gone. The kid had gone out into the yard and set himself on fire.
Wow.
And you can actually see images of his shriveled, burnt corpse in the yard. Apparently the kid, the pressure from school, the pressure with a lot of things, just must have been too much. I don't want to relate this like most people would to video games, but it's unfortunate that life must have been so bad that he concluded that setting himself on fire was the best conclusion.
Well, maybe, it's like his only escape from everything else was playing the video games, and even if it was like that little bit that he needed.
And I don't think his dad understood it.
Yeah.
And taking it away, that was probably the only release of pressure and stuff like that. And I talked about this before, sort of alluding with this, because Chance has had somewhat of a similar situation with his kid where he doesn't do well in school and he doesn't care and all he wants to do is play games. And I've said before and I'll say it again, I guarantee Chance there's more going on in his life than you understand, and life sucks for him. Teenage life sucks. And video games is the only thing that makes him feel better about things. I guarantee you, school life and friend life are probably not as great as he thinks they are. And it's going to be a struggle, and you got to do what you can. But hopefully, whoever runs into those situations, I guarantee you, life gets much better. Video games have always been there for at least those of us who have had trouble socially and emotionally and whatnot, and they're a good tool for those of us to get over. But setting yourself on fire, like a normal person would probably go, oh well, I'll jump off a building or I'll get a gun or something. Like to conclude that setting yourself on fire is a good way to go is really rough.
Yeah, just a bit.
But it's an unfortunate story that hit the internet a little while ago. Incidentally, another story that hit the internet, I believe it hit today or yesterday, was Han Solo, Harrison Ford, who was in a plane crash. Apparently he was pretty roughed up. He was flying the plane. A bunch of blood and stuff. But he's alive. But Harrison Ford was in a plane crash. It was either today or yesterday.
Wow.
What was he doing anyways?
He's a pilot. He was just flying or something.
Flying and just had an
Apparently he crashed in a golf course. Into a golf course. If that's Chance, I swear.
Is it Chance?
No.
Oh, good.
He likes to harass us while we're doing the podcast. Moving on. Lots of stories to talk about. 1 second. The Spider-Man thing, there's going to be a Adventure Time movie. Lindsay shared this with me before. DuckTales is apparently coming back to television, but it's not slated to come back until like 2017 or something.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's going to be a while. So, I don't know.
The actor that plays Scrooge McDuck is in his 90s, so clearly they're going to have to get some new guy.
New voice actor.
But Disney has enough money to find a close enough proximity. Yeah. My only hope is that DuckTales was adventure. Like, they went on sort of these Indiana Jones-style adventures.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't turn it into one of those, like serials where they do have goofy stuff happen. It was an adventure show where they had adventures.
Right.
And as long as they can keep that, I'll be pretty happy. If they don't, then
Did you see the DuckTales movie?
I think I did.
A really good one. I like that one.
NVIDIA announced their new console, which a lot of it is streaming at the last GDC. I'm not super excited about anything NVIDIA's come out with. They keep trying to get into the console market. Remember with the Shield? They came out with a stupid controller with the screen on it. Who cared? I don't know. But it streams and it works off an Android operating system.
Well, if they can get people behind it and get some good games going, it could be a good thing. I mean, more competition in the console market isn't going to hurt anything. It'll make for better consoles.
Yeah. The market's fully saturated with a lot of stuff, is my point. I don't know how much more room we have. Anyway, Shadows of Mordor wins Game of the Year at the GDC Awards. They probably deserve it. It looks like a great game. They've released images of the new Steam controller. The last one, everybody made a big deal about it. Looked goofy. The new one actually looks more interesting. It doesn't look as weird as the last one was. I don't know. I've seen a lot of controllers over the years, and I'm not a big fan of that. PewDiePie, I'm going to blame this whole stupid story on this douche. All right. PewDiePie would like people to stop messaging him to asking him to fist them. Now, as disgusting as this is, not only is he a ridiculous, goofy personality on the internet, but he creates a fan base that is full of retards too. How do you expect them to rise above the crap when you act the way that you do? And then you come out and try to be reasonable and be like, stop asking me to fist you. Like, really? Come on, dude. You create crap content, you're gonna have a bunch of really retarded kids.
Yep.
He's like, please stop that. I was like, really? It's like it's like this guy who goes out and is a clown for like children's birthday parties.
Right.
And all of a sudden he goes to birthday party and he's goofing around and stuff, and then he goes, come on, you guys. Come on, let's be serious. There's a war going on right now.
Stop asking me to make you a balloon animal.
Yeah, well, it's like, come on, guys. There's a war going on right now. Be respectful. It's like, you're a stupid clown.
Yeah.
Just stop. You can't raise the bar all of a sudden when you've been lowering it for so long.
Basically, your fan base has their minds in the gutter. You need to... Yeah, anyway. You need to elevate them slowly.
There's a new Resident Evil game that hit the internet that has been going on in episodically as a Resident Evil game, which is new. Most of the last Resident Evil games, 6 and 5, most people weren't happy with.
Right.
The new one, actually, I've heard a lot of really good things about, and apparently the co-op is really good too. Which is surprising. They did a lot of... it's like they kept trying to make sure it's like, look, we know you weren't happy with the old stuff. We'll just keep trying to send stuff back to the way they used to be. But I've heard good things about it. But apparently the Season Pass buyers have been having trouble with the PS4 version. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. If you're into the game, you can look it up yourself. I've heard good things about the game, though. This is a stupid story to come out of the GDC. The man in charge of archiving old games at the Internet Archive says that the time is now for game developers to begin the process of making sure that the games they work on are saved for posterity. They're video games.
Yeah.
Really? Let's make sure we archive them and keep them safe. Because that game of that character that farts a lot really needs to be kept for posterity. Moving on.
There you go.
Xbox Live Gold subscription will not be required for multiplayer on Windows 10. I don't know why this was a thing. Let me read the article. An Xbox Live Gold subscription will not be needed to play multiplayer in Windows 10 when it's released, despite it supporting crossplay on some games. Xbox One in Windows 10. I don't know why they needed to clarify this, because if you're playing a game on Windows 10 and they were charging me, people would be freaking out anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe they just had to come out and be like, look, you don't have to have Xbox Live to play on the internet anyway. I don't know why you have to do it on your Xbox One, but you do. Epic Games has been handing out their first Unreal Dev grants. We talked about this before, where they were going to hand out about a bunch of grants for people to use the Unreal Engine. I'm not going to read about that. How we doing, Lindsay?
Still sick, so.
Still awake, too.
I hate these stories. Interesting article about Netflix being somewhat hypocritical about net neutrality. In the United States, one of the strongest corporate proponents of the Federal Communications Commission's net neutrality rules is video content streaming Netflix. But a new deal in Australia has raised eyebrows with some rights groups who say the deal is hypocritical. Netflix is set to officially launch its video streaming service in Australia and New Zealand next month. But the company has inked a deal with the ISP iiNet that makes it so that the customers who use the streaming service won't have it count against their broadband caps. This practice, commonly referred to as zero rating, is generally considered to be diametrically opposed to one of the core tenets of net neutrality rules, treating certain types of traffic differently based upon who owns it. So they're setting up deals to make sure that
People are so stupid about this. The thing is that net neutrality only applies in the U.S. They can do whatever they want in Australia.
Not only that, but everybody used Netflix as the perfect example. And then Netflix does something that's business-wise that helps them out in Australia. And I was like, because we said before it had nothing to do with freedom and everything to do with money.
Money!
Everything to do with money. And how are you surprised that Netflix sets up this program where they get more special treatment for their streaming in Australia?
Because they can do it. Netflix would totally do this in the U.S. if net neutrality wasn't there.
And they go, oh, you hypocrites. It's like, what do you mean hypocrites? They're going to do everything they can to be successful.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, we're for the little guy. Yeah, Netflix is for the little guy. A little company called Microsoft is for the little guy.
Yeah.
That little tiny company called Google is for the little guy. Yeah, these little tiny guys who are backing up all of you freedom lovers who help push net neutrality through. I told everybody in the last podcast, it had nothing to do with all the stupid petitions you sent in. It had everything to do with the corporate influence that companies like Microsoft and Google and Facebook and Twitter and Netflix pushed on the FTC to try and get net neutrality in. All of you millions of people that banded together to get your voices heard meant nothing.
Nope. We rarely do when all is said and done in the sense of politics.
Yeah. It comes with who's swinging the money.
Uh-huh.
And that's what happened. We talked about Maxis getting closed. 20.2 million PS4 units being sold. Valve announces a FreeSource 2 engine. Steam Link and more at GDC. I'm not really interested in this nonsense. Valve has been doing some goofy stuff I'm not a fan of. Notch makes it onto the Forbes billionaire list. Why?
Because he sold his Minecraft game for like billions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, what, to Microsoft?
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I was looking at something the other day, and I found it. A Minecraft Lego set.
I heard of that.
Really? Yes.
They must be proud.
Why do we need a Minecraft Lego set? It's already a Minecraft Lego set.
It's like your parents come into the room and they're like, you need to get off playing those video games. Stop playing Minecraft. Go in your room and play Minecraft. He's like, oh, okay. And he's sitting there sadly putting Legos together.
It's not the same. Wait, actually it is.
What?
Oh boy.
What? Why isn't this creeper exploding? I don't understand. Oh, man. Remember that whole controversy with Resident Evil Revelations 2 and how they couldn't set up local co-op? And then a modder was like, the first day set up local co-op, and they're like, oh, well, apparently Capcom finally went through and enabled local co-op on Resident Evil Revelations 2. Which you couldn't do. You had to play over the internet. I don't care about that story. Moving on. Upcoming Open Gaming Alliance report predicts the PC gaming sector is worth $35 billion by 2018, which is pretty significant. PC gaming is growing. Epic Games has made Unreal Engine 4 free for everybody. They really want people to use Unreal Engine.
Wow.
PAX. Of all places, PAX has a panel that offers practical advice on when to step away from the screen.
They had a panel on it?
Because PAX is retarded. I don't think I've ever seen anything that come out of PAX besides some of the just hanging out and playing games with people that actually sounded worth a darn. You know, it's the only... There are a few retro conventions that seem somewhat interesting to me, but they're usually held in like places like Texas. MagFest seems kind of better. Well, at least better than PAX. That was one of the few where I was like, if it was free, I'd go, so to speak. Apparently there's a Republican bill that seeks to take the power from the FCC to enforce net neutrality, which seems hilarious to me. The FCC passes net neutrality, and the House is like, oh yeah? Well, we'll pass a bill that makes it impossible for you to actually enforce it. Which is a clever thing to do, but it'll never get passed because this is a political fight. Democrats will oppose it, Republicans will... It's the same thing across the board. This stuff always happens. Comcast, etc., etc. We've run a little bit long, but we've enjoyed ourselves. I've ranted a lot. Lindsay's contributed so much.
At least she hasn't fallen asleep in the chair.
That is a feat in and of itself.
I think that counts for something.
Anything you just want to talk about?
Well, this has already gone long, so not really.
Really?
I don't know.
Or is that your excuse to be like, well, it's got too long, let's move on, and then you're like, I don't have anything to talk about?
Well, I've been trying to sell a bunch of my cosplay stuff that I've had for years, and it's kind of like a weird feeling getting rid of a lot of that stuff, but it's like I kind of need to, and I could use the money. But I'm not getting rid of all of it. Like, I'm probably still going to keep some stuff, and I might actually end up making a rogue cosplay next week, so we'll see. But honestly, it's like I don't know when I'm going to wear it or even use it because I can't afford to go to conventions or have the time to go to conventions. And most of the time, I'm not enjoying them like I used to anymore because they're kind of crap now because they become so mainstream and they're just filled with a bunch of retarded people most of the time that I just am not enjoying it like I used to.
You were into it before it was popular.
I was.
Oh boy.
I listened to this song before it was popular. That's why I'm cool.
Now it's lame that other people like the things that I like.
Well, the problem is that you
I
got
hated
a lot
it first.
A lot of people are getting
That's
on like
what I
the
was saying.
bandwagon. They're just getting on the bandwagon and doing it and going to conventions and dressing up and whatnot, and it's become this weird, like, popular thing to basically be a geek or a nerd or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm it's like, you know what? It's not. It feels weird because you kind of feel like other people are trying to take your identity that you've, so to speak, sometimes struggled with your whole life.
Fought for.
Yeah, fought for, and you finally kind of like, because as an adult, you finally get to a stage where you kind of accept who you are, and you're like, you know what, I like video games, and I don't care, I know who I am, and it doesn't matter.
Now that's like acceptable, and you're like, oh, come on.
It's weird. It's like everybody else all of a sudden jumps on the same things that you like, and they're like, oh yeah, this is cool, and they're like being hipsters with it, and you're like, you're a douchebag, get out of mine. And you basically want to turn around and be the bully towards those people that are doing it now because they gave you crap your whole life.
Well, because they're not really into it.
Because they're not. Really. They're not really into it. They're just jumping on the bandwagon so that they can be cool.
Yep.
That's all it is.
It's because nerd or geek or whatever it's supposed to be is supposed to be cool now. Look,
which, the thing is, I thought about it. It's like, okay, well, what would be a convention I would go to? Because I went to a convention last year that was actually not very popular at all. And I don't know if there'll be another one because it wasn't very popular. But I went to Fantasy Con, which was really fun. I mean, it's like LARPer type of convention. Like, I literally went around and LARPed and shot like bow and arrows and had a big jousting tournament. And it was a lot of fun. And I don't care how nerdy that is, but it just makes me smile. And I was actually riding the bus this week.
Yeah,
and
except for your friend there.
Whatever. Yeah, I know. He's
I'm just saying it was the funniest. It's the funniest thing.
But like
we should make fun of him with the chance he might actually listen to the podcast.
Yeah. I was riding on the bus this week and it was raining and stuff. But it's like I'm driving. We're going by the park and I look out and there's a bunch of LARPers out there
in the rain.
In the rain playing, and I'm like, they're probably having such an in their head like an epic battle, but they're really out there just swinging swords and they're like kids and stuff. But it just made me smile because I was like, yeah, there's still kids out there doing it, but...
I've heard repeatedly over and over again the idea of nerds and geeks being pushed to the sidelines is dead. We heard that on the gamer, or the video game movie or whatever it was. That it's dead. The concept of these people being on the side is dead. And I was like, baloney. Baloney, it's dead. If people are socially awkward then, they are going to be socially awkward now. And socially awkward people are still going to be pushed out to the side.
That's the thing.
It doesn't matter.
Just because they're into the same stuff doesn't mean that all of a sudden, these people that are super socially awkward, all of a sudden get accepted into society and have friends and are popular. That's not how that works. All those people that have been nerdy and been going to these things probably have some feelings sort of similar to me where they're just slightly irritated and they're just pushed out to the side in these things, and it's like they don't even, it sounds weird, but it's like they don't have a safe zone anymore. Like they had that one thing, the one place they could go where they were around other people that were socially awkward like them, that liked the same things that they like, and that they finally felt like there was a place where they belonged and that they had people that were like-minded and like them. And that's not the case anymore. You have jocks and everybody else going to these things, and there's not, it's lost, it's gone.
Anyway, finishing my point. Lindsay likes to jump in on my comments. Anyway, finishing my point. The problem, where was I going? I lost it. Lindsay, thank you. You're welcome.
Well, you were saying...
Socially awkward.
Socially
awkward now.
It doesn't change anything, and simply because the what they were into becomes mainstream.
It doesn't change that it's okay for people who didn't like it before to like it now.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that you're still going to have
nerds.
Yeah, they're still geeks and nerds, and being nerdy, calling yourself a nerd or even just a gamer doesn't immediately mean that you're really part of the whole. We're awkwardly sitting here with our overweight friends trying to console ourselves through playing video games. We all did it. Those of us who played video games who were really, nerdy or really gamers are still that way today.
Yep.
Simply because you like Spider-Man doesn't necessarily mean you're entering into that crew. It is what it is. Concluding that all of a sudden that whole thing is dead now and everything. I hate hipsters and the whole hipster thing.
Harrison Ford's plane crash.
Yeah, they're talking about it on the news. It's what we're all going to have to live with. It's got to the point where especially with like the retro stuff, I've been getting more into playing the old games that I used to love, and I'm sitting here enjoying them and having a lot of fun. And I'm talking to Chance, and Chance is like, yeah. It started to hit big just, a while ago, and this, and this, and I was like, this is making me angry because I feel like the hipster that's trying to get into the trend late.
Right.
Because everybody got into it and it was popular. And now it's all of a sudden impossible to get into it because everybody already got into it. I mean, in all honesty, I could give a flying fart if other people are want to play the same games that I do. I just want to play fun games, and I could care less if it's really popular right now.
Right.
I just hate the fact that I'm coming into it later on the spectrum because I feel like a douchebag hipster who's trying to get into the trend, you know what I mean?
Right.
At any rate, we enjoy your comments. Lindsay, want to leave us with something inspiring? Okay, thank you. Oh, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Nothing I say is apparently important, so that's okay.
Oh, whatever. What is it?
I don't know.
The next thing will change our lives.
Don't hate us because we're beautiful. Hate us because we insult your intelligence.
That wasn't any good at all.
I like it.
Pathetic. Lindsay.
I was just going to say something like, it's spring break, have some fun, but don't do anything too crazy.
Jason?
Don't do anything lethally stupid.
Yeah.
It is spring break.
That's our line. See you guys later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Distracted Gamers podcast. If you like the show, follow Rhett and Jason, the world's two most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast, or check them out at www.thedistractedgamers.com. If you loved or hated what you've heard here, email them at thedistractedgamers.blogspot.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason will care, since he hasn't any, of course.